Man-made God. Evolution. Stars twinkled in the night sky, long before man discovered the laws of astronomy.
As naturalism made atheists of scientists, they needed a surrogate creator to anchor their all-natural ideology. In their newly exalted role in society, scientists now had the necessary intellectual clout and political freedom to craft their own brand of creation. Armed with their naturalistic understanding of the universe, the only element lacking to complete their atheistic ideology was a first cause, an all-natural, man-made, surrogate creator. It was against this backdrop of 19th-century thought that Charles Darwin introduced his 1859 book, Origin of Species. Scientists now had the man-made God they had been praying for.
Darwin's Origin of Species, Neo-Bible for the Neo-Priesthood.
Darwin's theory of evolution proposed that all complex life forms ascended through a process of continuous physico-chemical actions, originally from inorganic matter. Darwin proposed that human beings, and in fact, all living beings evolved from microscopic ancestors, which in turn evolved from non-living matter.
There are many people who put their faith in science rather than religion and need to believe in its superior, objective authority.
Evolution was also credited with the broad diversity of life forms now present on the Earth. Although no evidence was presented, Darwin proposed that purposeless, natural processes somehow substituted for supernatural creation.
Missing links. Missing.
A key hypothesis of Darwin's theory was the concept that species could transmutate into completely new species. That is, species were supposedly capable of spawning entirely new species through a series of mutations. The concept, while not new, revolutionized the field of biology, and was eventually embraced by the other branches of science, the media, science writers, journalists and science textbook authors. These transitional species, so-called missing links, were thought to represent the intermediate stages of mutation between species, as they supposedly evolved. In fact, Darwin predicted that there should be vast representations of these transitional species alive today, and that vast numbers of expired missing links should be contained within the fossil record. Darwin's challenge to disprove traditional beliefs in supernatural creation took on epic proportions. In fact, for many it became a quest as countless hordes of archaeologists and paleontologists went scurrying to remote regions of the Earth, in search of missing links.
However, no evidence of any missing links, dead or alive, has ever been found. Survival of the fittest.
Darwin claimed to introduce an all-natural mechanism responsible for the creation of life, and its diversity. He claimed that chance, differential survival, and time were the only factors responsible for the major transformations in life forms. However, no evidence has ever been produced. Darwin successfully conjured and unleashed upon society a God, with no creative purpose, nor any interest in the fate of its creation, a serendipitous God who would exhibit no concern over its subjects, nor exact any penalties for their indiscretions. In fact, Darwin's creation is a blind God, with no throne, no personage, nor any troublesome need to be worshipped, or serviced. A God who is sustained by only one requirement, the unquestioning blind faith in its existence.
In a sense, a theory or a hypothesis is a story that scientists have made up to explain how nature works in some specific case. These stories can be wonderfully detailed and ingenious, but without evidence they are nothing more than hunches.
In this regard, some view evolution more as religion than as science, because of its strong reliance upon faith in things unseen. But in their zeal to systematize their Darwinian God, factual science itself became subordinate to the flexible whimsies of evolutionists' new maker. For example, anything and everything can be ascribed to evolution. And when faced with the inconvenience of refuting evidence, evolutionists' elastic God can be remolded to fit any shape expedience dictates, as we shall see.
Evolution's absurd leap of faith, from theory to fact.
Darwin's theory won sweeping support within the science community and the media. There persisted, however, the troublesome matter of proving their new God. How well would evolution's unknown machinations fare under scrutiny of the fossil record, and well understood and proven laws of nature, such as thermodynamics?
Earth and the laws of nature tell a different story.
The topmost layer of the Earth's crust is a mile-deep graveyard containing billions of fossils. Darwin claimed that abundant evidence supporting his theory, that is, missing links, common ancestors, would be found in this stratum. But in over 160 years since Darwin's theory was published, no evidence of any kind has ever been found to support it. In fact, evidence contained in the fossil record directly contradicts Darwin's claims of species transmutation.
Artists' renderings, as facts of science.
Undaunted by the contrary physical evidence, paleontologists have exhibited an inexhaustible capacity over the years for imagination. In 1912, Arthur Woodward announced to the world that he had found the missing link between ape and man. Piltdown Man, as he called it, consisted of a jawbone and a piece of skull which he estimated to be over 500,000 years old. However, in 1953, when the new fluoride dating process was applied to the bones, scientists were shocked to learn that the jawbone was less than 50 years old. Only then did they notice that the bones and teeth had been treated with salts and filed to make them appear old and primitive. In other words, Piltdown Man was a scientific fraud.
Scientific method in reverse.
In the past 150 years, paleontologists and archaeologists have unearthed literally millions of fossil remains. However, despite initial reports of findings of missing links, scientists later dismissed these reports as false. Most notable of these reported discoveries were Heidelberg Man, reconstructed from a modern human jawbone. Nebraska Man, scientifically reconstructed from the tooth of a pig. Piltdown Man, scientifically reconstructed from the jawbone of a modern ape. Teeth filed and treated with salts to make them appear old. Peking Man, supposedly 500,000 years old, but the evidence somehow vanished. Neanderthal Man, scientifically reconstructed from the arthritic skeleton of a modern man. New Guinea Man, later found to date way back to 1970. Cro-Magnon Man, reconstructed from a fossil identical in every way to modern man. In over 160 years since the introduction of Darwin's book, no missing links have ever been found, living or dead. In fact, evolution scientists have been confounded by evidence in the fossil record, which directly contradicts their theory. The fossil record provides clear evidence of the sudden occurrence of species, and their long history virtually unchanged, until extinction.
Life from non-living matter.
Another key tenet of Darwinism proposes the spontaneous generation of life from inorganic matter, prebiotic soup. Unfortunately, all attempts by experimenters to prove this hypothesis have also failed. Apparently, non-living matter simply cannot produce living matter, a fact that the Dr. Louis Pasteur proved, scientifically. Yet, despite the lack of any scientific underpinning, or even the slightest hint of how evolution is supposed to actually work, the theory persists as orthodox doctrine in science textbooks all over the world. How can this be? With the argument of Darwinism all but shattered by the fossil record, Darwinist scientists had to come up with an alternate theory, one that better fit the physical evidence.
Directed panspermia, The X-Files.
Still reeling from the knockout blow dealt by the fossil record, evolutionist scientists went back to the drawing board. Their substitute creator had to be revamped to deal with the practical realities of the fossil record. Francis Crick, the 1981 Nobel Prize winner for co-discovery of DNA, came up with a solution. Crick introduced the hypothesis known as directed panspermia. The theory states that aliens on dying planets elsewhere rocketed microorganisms to Earth, spawning the various life forms we have today. When introduced, this theory sparked much speculation, and even hysteria among the less scientific public. Aliens and UFOs began popping up everywhere, and soon became the rage of tabloid magazines. Some even claim to have been abducted by aliens. However, in light of the incredible distances between solar systems and other practical realities, this theory was discarded. Though abandoned by scientists, the fanciful fiction did not escape unnoticed by Hollywood screenwriters and producers. Hollywood science fiction movies, and once popular TV shows such as The X-Files, capitalized upon the drama of advanced alien races keeping watchful eyes upon their primitive Earth progeny. Nor was the public offended any by Crick's discarded little green men, LGM, theory, as Agents Mulder and Scully proved in the TV ratings. But LGM was only fiction. Scientists needed a more durable god.
Punctuated equilibrium.
Darwin's theory of evolution was then completely overhauled to better conform to the physical evidence contained within the fossil record. With no explanation as to how evolution supposedly works, scientists now claim that evolution functions just like supernatural creation, that is, without the supernatural creator. Their neo-Darwinist theory, called punctuated equilibrium, in effect claims that evolution creates species in spurts, and that those species endure for long periods without noticeable change, amazingly like creation. But how? No one knows. That's their miracle of evolution. We know it happens, because it happened, as evolutionist scientists are fond of saying. From fraudulent ape-man fossils, to little green men, to an empty black box creation system, which no one gets to peer into, it might seem that scientists will accept any alternative to supernatural creation.
Can scientists be trusted?
Many people view scientists as fearless and objective investigators of natural phenomena. Many regard their credibility as superior to religion, which is not a difficult comparison. However, scientists may be far from the benign and objective custodians of truth that their white lab coats might suggest.
Many non-scientists are awed by the power and seeming certainty of scientific knowledge. So are most students of science. Textbooks are full of apparently hard facts and quantitative data. Science seems supremely objective. Moreover, a belief in the objectivity of science is a matter of faith for many modern people.
It is fundamental to the worldview of materialists, rationalists, secular humanists and all others who uphold the superiority of science over religion. The truth is, most scientists are actively engaged in research for military or commercial applications. Facts are often subordinated to comply with orthodox scientific theories, to avoid professional ridicule. Deception can easily find its way into research findings. For example, tobacco company scientists have lied about the harmful effects of inhaling the 4,000 plus 23 toxic chemicals in second-hand smoke. Doctors and medical technicians kill more people in hospitals accidentally, 98,000 annually, than are killed in traffic accidents. Every year in the United States, drugs released upon an unsuspecting public cause thousands of deaths. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration still refuses to require food manufacturers to label genetically modified foods. Scientists have misrepresented the facts regarding the effects of toxic waste, diet pills and other drugs determined harmful to consumers. Quite often, in scientists' mad rush to the market, many of their products in agriculture, genetic engineering and pharmaceuticals have come under intense scrutiny by the FDA and EPA. In many instances, research findings were discovered to be intentionally misleading or fraudulent. Others are alarmed by the genetic engineering in agriculture, cloning fetuses for stem cell research, and the global effects of toxic waste and chemical pollution on the environment, ozone layer and the greenhouse effect. These present conditions cause many to question whether their faith in scientists has been well placed. Can scientists be entrusted as the new mediators of truth?
Myth of scientists' impartiality.
Scientists are viewed as bold and fearless seekers of knowledge, whatever its domain. But in recent times, that lofty quest has been compromised by government funding and big business. For example, how many people have died from lead paint, asbestos, tobacco, hormone replacement therapy, fen-phen, diet drugs, steroids, countless performance-enhancing drugs, DDT, using fetuses to make products, a grotesque form of commercial cannibalism. Not to mention scientists' contribution to damaging the environment. Beached whales, and deaths of other sea mammals, due to defense radar devices. Mad cow disease, from feeding cows other cow fetuses and cow byproducts. Cows are herbivores, not carnivores, and certainly not cannibals. Scientists were once again perverting the laws of nature. And innocent people died. The list goes on.
The Trojan horse of modern scientists.
But that's not the worst contribution by modern scientists. The most abominable effect of scientists' evolutionist teachings is how they leverage their prestige to convince people that they are nothing more than orphans in the universe. They teach sacred beings to blaspheme their creator.
Atheism is a crime against society, for it destroys the only adequate foundation for morality and righteousness, a personal God who holds man responsible for keeping his laws.
They destroy the faith of millions, substituting their God-given legacy with a nightmarish horror that they descended from animal ancestry. This is more a subject of horror movies, for example, Wolfman, Catwoman, etc., making faith an all but impossible proposition. And for this blasphemous influence, evolutionist scientists will be severely judged.
Social and moral impact of neo-Darwinism on society and the individual.
Political scientists, philosophers and revolutionaries seized upon the Darwin's survival of the fittest ideology. Darwinism has been credited with the rise of fascism, Nazism, Marxism, and communism. These are extremely repressive governments which in recent times have been responsible for the murder of millions. In the United States, 100 years of evolution teaching as fact in the media and the schools, is taking its toll on our nation's youth. What moral expectations can they aspire to when they are taught that there is no reason, no purpose, that at the end of life, the game is just over? No surprise that they are an aimless generation.
Summary.
The godless evolution theory is a crime against humanity. Disguised as objective, scientific fact, evolutionists are attempting to rip out of the heart of the innocent their God-given instinct to acknowledge and search for their maker. Evolutionists point out the many abuses of religion. We acknowledge that religion, perverted by priestcraft and ecclesiasticism, is not the way to God. But evolutionist scientists' attempt to erase the Creator because of the abuses in man's religion is not only inhumane, but blasphemy. The Creator equipped us with an innate awareness of Himself that is reflected in the things that He has made, and confirmed by His self-revelation, the Holy Bible. There is abundant evidence, and there is proof. Unlike the theory of evolution, of these things there can be no doubt.